Hello everybody. So in this course, we will be talking about the Android programming, and I am your instructor, Dr. Abbas Malik. I will give you the introduction about the Android programming, starting from the scratch, starting from zero. You don't know anything about the mobile applications or the Android programming. Only thing that is expected from you is that you have a programming background, you know what is the variables are, how what are the classes, what are the instance of those classes or object of those classes. And we will start from very beginning, how we can install the required environment, and then we build from the beginning level, very low level, up to how we can connect our application with the end cloud databases, with the cloud web services, and so on. So this is about this Android programming course. Okay, so hopefully you will enjoy this course, and let's get back to our slides. So as you know, this is an Android mobile app development course. You can see my email address if you want, and you can send me an email, and I will be try my best to answer all of your questions. So this is the history of mobile systems. In the beginning, in what you can say that in 1960s or 70s, we have these kind of mobile systems. We have, this is the blueprint of that particular mobile system, where it has a receiver, it has an antenna, it has battery supply or the power supply from your car, and then it's going to the trunk of that car, very big. The zero generation that we know, that start in 1946. The mobile telephone system, it's a radio telephone developed by the Motorola and the Bell Labs. And then we come up with this one. This is a 2 kg. You need to be a wrestler to keep that particular specific mobile. You can't put it in your pocket. Yeah, you have to a bag in which you can put it. In 1973, it's a Martin Cooper from Motorola that is displaying that particular specific first mobile device, which is more handy as compared to having that in your trunk and the car. In 1979, first cellular network, that is the first cellular network, was created in Japan. Okay, and then in 1981, it's a Nordic mobile telephone. It's Denmark, it's Finland, Norway, and Sweden. That is the European mobile network which was created at that time. And then in 1980s again, first generation, the 1G of the mobile using the analog cellular technology came in. And then we have in 1991 we have the second generation, in 2001 we have the third generation, in the 2009 we have the fourth generation, and now our cellular networks, they are installing the 5G. And now once they are installing the 5G, now we are talking about the 6G, sixth generation wireless networks. But this is a history, and if you know, I don't know how many of you know that we have the mobiles like this. These are the Nokia mobiles. Okay, so we have these Nokia mobiles, and these Nokia mobiles is actually are very popular till we get the first iPhones. One in 2007, and then later on we have seen a lot of smartphones. They change the whole scenario. Nokia go out of business, and so on. That is a little bit history. Now the point is why we need to develop, why we need to learn the mobile application development. So here is the answer. In 2009, only 10% of the mobile devices, that web traffic, the internet, that is going from desktop towards the mobile applications. You are doing your banking online, you are doing your shopping online, you are having social networks which you are using, and everything, you are living in an online world. And that online world, before 2009 or In 2009, only 10% was on the mobile, and the remaining 90% was on the desktops or the computers, or mostly desktops. But then we can say that computers or the laptops. But now, if we look at the 2020, then the 50% of that traffic is actually coming from the mobile devices. So mobile devices are in every hand in of the people in everywhere in the world. And if you want to develop the software, if you want to survive, or if you want to excel, if you want to build your career in the IT industry or the computer science, then you have to be familiar how you can develop the things for the mobile devices. So here is another comparison. So this is on the 30th of June. I access that particular specific website, and then you can see that how many computers are sold and how many mobile phones are sold. And if you look at the computers, it's only 390,000. On the other hand, we have more than almost 2.4 million smartphones. So you can imagine that how the people are buying those smartphones. And again, if you look at the tablets, it's 237,000. That's again, when we are talking about the mobile application development, we are also talking about the tablet software development. And that software development is also what you can say that useful for the tablet as well. Only the thing is that screen size is bigger. We need to change our design accordingly to cover or to utilize that bigger screen. Okay, so that's why we need to learn if we want to thrive, if we want to succeed, if we want to excel in the career in the IT and the computer science, then we have to learn the mobile application development. Okay, so we understand and why we are studying this course. Now we will talk about the mobile app development languages. We have multiple languages. For the first one is, if we talk about the Android, then we have the Java micro edition. It's not the standard Java, but it's a micro edition. But with the passage of time, it is becoming more and more standard Java. So Java is a language where we can develop the applications. Then we have Kotlin, that was also introduced by Google, and it is supported by the Android Studio, which we are going to use in this course. We also have Xamarin. Xamarin is a cross-platform applications, platform applications framework, which is allowing you to program develop the softwares for the mobiles, for the desktops, for the iPhones, even for the Mac as well. If you have a Mac, then you can do that. And that is the programming language is C#. And then we have a Flutter, which is based on the Dart language. That's again a multi-platform application development framework, which is introduced by Google in 2019. Okay, so it's came recently, but it is getting more and more popular. Hopefully in the future you will have another course from me about that Flutter, but not now. This is about the Android programming. And now we will be talking about the environment, the development environments. So we have a Xamarin. Xamarin is based on the Microsoft, so definitely it is using the it will be much more easier to work with the Xamarin if you are using the Microsoft Visual Studio. Okay, and on the other hand, if you talk about the Flutter, if you talk about the Kotlin, if you talk about the Java development for the Android Studio is the perfect integrated development environment for it. The reason is that they are all supported by the same company, Android operating system, Google. Then Kotlin, Google, Flutter, Google, and Android Studio is also developed by Google. So everything is integrated in a proper way, and your development experience will be very smooth if you are using the Android Studio for the Android development. If of course we can use the other platforms as well, we can configure, but first of all configuration will be difficult for it, and then later on we will have to configure a lot of different components which are supported by the Google, and they are seamlessly integrated in the Android Studio but not in the other environment. For the other environment there will be a lot of issues. So that's the reason that we are going to use the Android Studio. Now we are say that we understand why we need the mobile applications, why we need to learn them, and what are the reasons for behind that, what are different environments are there. Now the point is, what is Android? Android is an operating system which was developed in 2005 and by the Android Incorporation, but later on Google purchased that one, and now Google own it. Run on phones or watches or the tablets, in the TVs and the cars, so you can find a lot of different devices which are running on the Android operating system based on Java development languages and Linux kernel. The the core system behind that particular Android system is a Linux kernel, and it is based on the Java programming language for the development. More than 2.96 million apps now in the Play Store. The code is released as open source periodically. What does that mean? I give you an idea about the history. So in 2008 started with the version 1, and then we have 1.1 and 1.5. That's a cupcake, donuts, and Lectore. So you can continue with that. So the different suite names are being used by the Google to their uh, name its Android operating system different versions. So for example, in September 3, 2019, the Android 10 came out. So in since then, I mean, now I say that it is an open source, but periodically mean that once the 10 is out, maybe the Google is releasing the 8.0 or 8.1 as an open source. Note the latest one is available as an open source. The reason is that for the security reasons, to protect the privacy of the users, they are doing that. So they are releasing some previous versions as an open source, and the latest version is not the open source. So that's why they are releasing different open source Android system in the periodic way. Okay. So Android Studio, that is the one place to do everything about the Android programming. And if you want it, you will go to the developer.android.com/studio, or you can simply run a Android Studio search on the Google, and you will get that particular specific address which you can download and you can install it. Android Virtual Device Manager, that will be more practical things. Then I will give you the practical demonstration. Then of course I will, but Android Virtual Device, it's a kind of a virtual device which is running in your computer, but it look like a mobile application. And then in that particular specific application, you can run your application, you can test your application. And then we also have the SDK manager. SDK manager is software development kit manager. So which specific version you are targeting for your application. For example, maybe you can say that if I go back, for example, you say that I want to target all the versions of the Android which are 5.1 and onward, or 6.1 Marshmallow and onward. So I mean, these are all these different versions have different SDKs. So if we have a SDK manager which will help you to download those specific SDKs which are related to a specific Android devices, Android version. And so we need so that is an SDK manager which help you to manage all those different versions of the Android system in your development environment. We also have plugins. Plugins is more like that, just like we are importing different libraries in the Java or in C#. So we are importing few different libraries which already exist and we can use it. So again, the same thing is true for the Android. There are a lot of people who have developed different libraries for the Android Studio or Android programming. We can just plug in with those and we can import them and use them in our applications. Check for updates, of course, those libraries, those SDKs, and the Android development environment, Android Studio, they are continuously being in the upgrade system. So there is a upgrade cycle. So definitely we need to check for the upgrades so that we can keep our system upgraded and according to the latest standard. So this is the overall platform architecture for the Android. If we look at the top, or if let us start from the bottom. So we have a Linux kernel. Inside that Linux kernel, we have the security implemented, memory and process management. We have different processes which are being managed by that one. We have a memory, how much RAM we are using, file system, network input and output, device drivers. I mean, we have different devices, like we have a Bluetooth, we have a Wi-Fi adapter, we also have the camera, and we have touch systems. All these device drivers we need to install. So that is actually already done when you buy the by the mobile system. It's already done. It is done. It is in the system as well. So how the power management, memory sharing, inter-process communications, all these are done at the Linux kernel level. And then the second layer is about the hardware abstraction. Hardware abstraction is more like these are the, what you can say, that the drivers, audio drivers, or the Bluetooth drivers, or the camera, or different sensors that we have in our mobile systems. So they are exposing those these hardware abstraction layer is helping us to access in our mobile application. We can access through that hardware abstraction layer to the audio system, to the Bluetooth, to the camera, and then we can take pictures, or maybe we can want to receive data on the Bluetooth in your application. So that will help us to access those hardware level things which are controlled by the Linux kernel. But this abstraction will help us to access those physical devices and use them according to our requirement in our application that we are developing for different purposes and different reasons. We also have the native libraries, the System C library, Surface Manager, Media Framework, WebKit. You are using the OpenGL for your graphics, for your game systems. SQLite is a relational database system, which is also there. And then we can develop the databases and so on. So this is also a native libraries which are available for you. And then of course we connect with that. The next thing is Android. We have some basic like Java and JavaX. We have the application lifecycle, that is Android.x. So these are different Java core Java libraries which are available. JUnit, these libraries are for testing. If you want to automatically test your application for a specific scenario. We have org, that's our internet and the web services. We have the Android, which is the application lifecycle. So we have a lot of different core libraries which are there, and then which are present to help us to code for our Android system. Then we have the Java runtime in that core system, and that runtime means as Java runtime is starting from the Lollipop 5.0 version, API number 21 onward. They have converted. Before that, it was a Dalvik virtual machine. And what does that runtime environment mean? Every application that you run in your Android system, it is run into its own virtual environment, and that particular specific application has all the access to that particular specific virtual environment, and now that particular specific virtual environment is called the Android runtime. So it is using the ahead of time compilation, mean before that particular specific code as being used, it is compiled. So it will help us to improve the performance and the speed of the system, speed of the Android application. Improved garbage collection. You know that the garbage collection means that automatically it is trying to remove all those different objects from your memory, from RAM, which are not being used or which cannot be used. So it is an automatically garbage collection from your system, so that we are not running out of our memory. That, I mean, when we're talking about memory, it is talking about the RAM, random access memory, which is the working memory of the system. Okay, so every Android application run in its own instance that we have already discussed, and then we have how we can develop and debug the systems. So this is the Android runtime environment. Again, apps are executed by the Android runtime. Typically development workflow, I mean, we need to write app written in Java compiled to the bytecode files, and then a tool called the text converters converts Java bytecode into the single DEX bytecode file. So it is what you can say that it's a DEX file which is actually executing inside our mobile system, and ART execute that particular Android runtime that is execute that particular specific DEX bytecode file. So this is how our application is being executed, being what you can say that being work in our Android system. Then we have a package manager. Package manager is more kind of a Java APIs. We say that we have a hardware abstraction layer which will help us to access the camera or the Bluetooth. So again, at the Java API level, we have those specific APIs, we have those specific packages which are helping us to write the Java code to access the hardware abstraction layer, and eventually we are accessing the camera or the Bluetooth or different sensors and so on. So we have a package manager which help us to uh, do that, and we have different type of managers. We have window manager which is managing the window, we have a notification part, we have the main window, we have some shadows and so on. So this is the window manager which is managing all those things. We also have a view system. In our application we have buttons, we have the text input field, we have the checkboxes, we have some on off buttons, we have switches, we have progress bars. I mean, we have a lot of things that we will be studying in this course as well, but all those things are being managed by the view system. Okay, icons, text entry, boxes, buttons, images, sounds, videos and so on. We also have the resource manager. Resource is more like, you can say that in your application maybe you have some specific images which should be there at the installation time of your application. So those are can be included inside that particular specific installer of your application, and those are the resources. Those resources can be layout files, we can be the images, can be sounds, or different type of resources which are available at the install time. We are not talking about that you are downloading some specific thing from the internet and then you are showing that particular or playing that particular music or showing that particular video to the user while it is being downloaded from the internet. No, it's we are talking about the resources when you install an application, that package which is installed in your Android system, all the things which are inside that resource system, images or strings or the layouts and so on, we will be talking about. We will see that what are those, but there's a resource manager which is managing all those different type of resources. We have activity manager which is which is managing the life cycle and navigation stack of for the activities. What is activity? We'll be talking a little shortly about that. We also have the content providers. It is more like the database access or the files access and so on. So we have a content provider which is helping us to manage all those data access. We also have a location manager which is helping us to locate our different devices. We also have a notification manager. We have a notification that our battery is less than 10%, or your Wi-Fi is turned off, or your what you can say that your uh, aeroplane mode is on and off. So all these are the notifications which are being managed by the notification manager. And then we have an application layer. In the application layer we have home screen. We have different applications. We have a dialer, we have an email, we have a calendar, we have a camera. All these are the applications which are at the application system apps, or this application layer of the Android architecture. And these are some important links if you want to download the Android Studio release of the, I mean, different releases when they are released, what are different latest releases of the Android system, Android operating system. Like right now we are having the Android 10, and then we have different platforms. We also have some how we can do the game programming. We also have the how we can managing and developing the privacy friendly applications, how developers guide. We also have the Android API references. I mean, we can get all those informations about each and every class and the APIs which are there. How we can have the Android design and quality guidelines. We also have the Android courses which are developed by the Android people itself. and you can use it. We also have the Google Code Lab, where you can find the sample projects and you can download and you can work on that. We also have the Udacity courses, we have Android samples. So I mean, these are the different links. All these slides are being uploaded in the Moodle, so you can download and you can have all those links over there. So what is we are going to do next is the component of an Android application system. So thank you, bye.